Oi, this is Steve Irwin here, and we're on the planet Malacandria. As you can see, this place looks much different than Earth. The grass is pink, the trees are giant and red, and there are giant mountain formations that are very rigid and very different than the mountains from Earth. So today, we're going to explore this planet and all of its inhabitants, and specifically, we're going to go visit our friend Ransom and find out his story. He's a local philologist on the planet, so we're going to find out his story and how he got here and what has happened since he's arrived on the planet of Malacandria. Let's go! This is what nature looks like on Malacandria. So untamed and wild and majestic. Wow, this is a rare occurrence on Malacandria. I've actually found a wild baby Hanokra. It's hiding in the plants over here. The thing that's so interesting about Hanokras is that when they're babies, they're land-born creatures. And when they get bigger, they're about 10 feet long. And they live in the water and they grow gills. But this one's just a baby and he's still living on the land. This is the exact type of creature that Ransom and the Harosa went on the hunt for, and they killed one of these. This is what they look like. Except the real ones are much bigger than this. It's so interesting. Such a beautiful specimen. So here we are in the lab, where I'm told that Ransom likes to do his work. So let's see if he's anywhere around. Excuse me, are you Mr. Ransom?
Yes indeed.
Well, hi Ransom. I'm Steve Irwin. Nice to meet you.
Hello Steve, it's a pleasure to meet you.
I've got a couple of questions for you. Have you got a couple minutes?
Yeah, I can spare a few.
So, what I'm going to do is interview you about Malacandria.
Okay.
So tell me, are there stingrays here?
No, but we do have a water snake-like dragon creature called Hanokra, which you happen to have wrapped around your throat right now.
Are they dangerous?
Not in the childlike form, thankfully.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, so anyway, how did you get here to the planet of Malacandria?
Well, it's a rather interesting story. I was on a walking tour, or what you may call a vacation in America or Earth or whatever. And anyways, I was on this walking tour and it was getting late. And so I found this house along the road and I thought I'd stop there for the night. I ended up meeting a colleague of mine there and a physicist named Weston. Long story short, they kidnapped me and put me in this weird spaceship and brought me here.
So this is very interesting. He's on a walk and then he gets kidnapped by a colleague of his and a scientist. And then he ends up getting thrown into a ship. So, now that you've arrived to Malacandria, what has happened after that?
Well, when we arrived, we got out of the ship and we're on a beach, and so we had lunch. And in fact, we were attacked by an adult form of the Hanokra, and in the chaos, I escaped my captors and ran as far away as possible.
Well, it's very interesting. So once you ran away, what happened afterwards?
Well, I was very scared. I didn't know if I was going to survive or what dangerous inhabitants were on the planet. So I wound up finding a place, fell asleep, woke up the next morning, and then I actually met another inhabitant, the race of the Hross, or the Hrossa, plural. Interesting creatures indeed. His name was Hyoi. He was very friendly to me. He actually brought me back to his camp, and I began to learn about their lifestyle.
Okay, so he meets a Harosa named Hyoi, and he takes him into his camp. So, this leads me to ask the question, are there any other species located on Malacandria that are intelligent like the Harosa?
Yes, there's the Hrossa, very interesting creatures. The Sorns, which I mentioned before, very intelligent creatures, yet quite intimidating, and the Fiffletriggy.
Very interesting. So we've got the Hross, the Sorns, and the Fiffletriggy. So, it looks like the next step on this journey is for us to go to this Harosa village and talk to some of the indigenous Harosas so that we can find out what happened next on this journey. Thank you very much for speaking to me, Ransom. I very much enjoyed hearing your story.
Yes, you can find a Hross in Larson Fine Arts Center.
Larson Fine Arts Center. Got it. Okay, so we've just spoken to Ransom, and we found out that the next people we want to talk to is the Harosa village. So, we're going to go to the Larson Malacandrian Fine Arts Center and we're going to find these villagers and ask them what happened next on this wild journey on Malacandra. Alright, so we've just arrived at the Larson Fine Arts Center of Malacandrian Arts. So we're going to go inside and take a look and see if we can find any Hiroshan villagers. So we're inside the Larson Fine Malacandrian Arts Center, and I found a Hirosa right here, and I'm about to approach him. Now I'm aware that the Hirosa species is very artistic, and they enjoy doing the arts and singing poetry and things such as that. So we're going to go speak to him and see what we can find out about Ransom's story. Greetings, Hirosa. I'm Steve Irwin.
Hello there, Steve Irwin.
Nice to meet you. I've got a couple questions for you. Have you got a minute?
Yes, of course. Please sit down.
So, I'm aware that a few weeks back, a Mr. Ransom has come to this village. Could you tell me a little bit about your people's relationship with Ransom?
He has very different understandings than my people.
Interesting. Could you elaborate on this?
He views pleasure and enjoyment much differently than the Hirosa.
So do you mean to tell me that your species enjoys different things than my species?
Not at all. There is time for everything in Malacandra. We do it once and then remember. The memory is as good as the time.
Wow. So what sorts of things do you do to remember the things that you enjoy?
Well, we write poems and sing songs.
Write poems and sing songs. Very interesting. This is an interesting view into the culture of the Hirosa. So, once Ransom arrived, what happened?
He stayed with us for a time. We went to hunt Hinokra. We killed him, and then Eldil said Ransom needed to go speak with Oyarsa. We sent him along the path, and 2 men like him followed. They killed Hyo.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. So, I've just spoken to the Hirosa, and he explained to me that after Ransom went to go find Oyarsa, he ran into a Sorn. So we're going to see if we can go find a Sorn at the Malacandrian Reed Hall of Science. Let's go. So we're on our way to see the Sorn, and I've just wandered into a Fiffletriggian lab. And I'm going to try and find a Fiffletriggy and ask him some questions to find out about their species. Excuse me, Mr. Fiffletriggy. I'm Steve Irwin. Wow. He's speaking a native tongue in the dialect of Fiffletriggian. Luckily, I know about 62 different dialects of Fiffletriggian, and I can recognize this distinct one by the 3 sounds that it makes at the end of a genitive noun. So, I'm going to speak to him, and we're going to ask him a little bit about his species. Okay, so I've just asked him about his species. He says that the Fiffletriggy are very well known for working on and making machines and different things like this. And the Sorns are very known for their sciences and studying of the sky and the stars and the heavens. And then the Hirosa are known for their poems and their studying of the arts. So I'm going to ask him if there are any dominant species on the planet. He says that there are actually no dominant species on the planet, which is very different than Earth. In fact, they all serve the same purpose, which is to do what Hirosa says, and they all work in harmony with each other. I'm going to ask him if there is ever a circumstance in which one species would try to attack another species in order to advance their own species. He says no. He says that they're always in perfect harmony, and there would never be a reason for another species to attack any of the other species. They share all the resources with each other, and when they need to help each other with their needs, they'll do things like that. This is very interesting, and it's very unknown to the human nature. Well, let's move on and go find our Sorn friend. So here we are. We're in the Reed Malacandrian Hall of Science, and I'm told this is where I can find a Sorn. So we're looking around right now. You know, there's one right here. Let's go ask him a couple questions.
Hello, Thorncandrian.
Hello, Sorn. I'm Steve Irwin. What's your name?
My name is Aubrey.
Allgrey. Okay, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a Sorn. We are the intellectual race on Malacandra.
Very interesting. Alright, so I'm aware that Malacandra is a very interesting place, and they have a lot of different religious views than we do on Thulcandra, otherwise known as Earth. So could you tell me a little bit about your religious views on this planet?
Of course. We are ruled by Oyasa. He lives in Melador. Oyasa is neither like Sorn, nor Fiffletriggy, nor Rosa. He is the ruler of our planet, as every other planet also has Oyasa. They are in constant communication. There is also Meleldu the Young and the Old One, who is omnipotent and omnipresent.
Very interesting. So this planet is ruled by an unknown being named Oyasa. So, could you tell me, have you encountered another human that looks like me named Ransom?
Yes, I have indeed. He was quite curious. Oyasa told me to inform him of Malacandra and its beings and operation, as well as Thorncandra, your home planet, as you call Earth. Oyasa sent for me to bring him to you.
Okay, so Ransom came and he found Allgrey here, and Allgrey took him almost all the way to Oyasa. Could you explain a little bit about what happened on that journey?
Of course. Well, he came to my cave, and we had a long conversation about theology and science and the order of the universe. He slept, and we took a long journey, met Sorns along the way, and finally made it to Meladorn, where we met Oyasa. Might I add, that is a wonderful specimen of Hnokra you have there.
Why, thank you. I found it myself.
Did you know they are the deadliest creature on Malacandra? It's quite poisonous.
Oh. Well. You can keep him. I think the next place that we've got to go on this journey is to go and find Oyasa. That way, we can find out the rest of the answers to this mysterious planet called Malacandra. Let's go. So here we are at the Burke Castle. This is where I'm told that Oyasa lives. I'm about to go into the castle, run up the stairs to the top floor, because they say Oyasa is at the very top of the castle, and I'm going to ask him some questions. And then we're going to find out the secrets of Malacandria. Let's go. So here we are at the Burke Castle, and all I've got to do is go up these stairs and find Oyasa. So, it shouldn't be a problem for me, because us Owens have great cardio. Let's go. No problem. Whew. This is kind of tiring. I'm not gonna make it.
Hello, Steve Irwin. I am Oyasa, the only inhabitant on Malacandra who will not get winded by coming to the top floor of Burke.
That's very impressive. I'm Steve Irwin. Nice to meet you. So we finally made it to the top of the Burke Castle, and I found Oyasa. So Oyasa, could you tell me, how come our planet doesn't have an Oyasa like you?
Steve, your planet, Thulcandra, is the silent planet.
Silent planet. Interesting. What do you mean by silent planet?
Thulcandra, or Earth, once had an Oyasa like myself, but he became bent, or evil, as you would call it. So we buried him in the earth, silenced for eternity. That is why Earth is the silent planet. Your planet is dark and tainted. You do not live at peace like the inhabitants of Malacandra.
Wow. So this answers so many of the questions that we've been after. We once had an Oyasa just like him, and he succumbed to evil, so he was buried under the earth of our planet. And we, the people of Thulkandra, have forever been subject to also falling under the trap of evil and doing evil deeds. And we are not in harmony like the species of Malacandra because we do not have the Oyasa to keep us at peace. Well, that concludes our adventure in Malacandra. We've had the opportunity to meet Ransom and explore his journey from when he first stepped foot on Malacandra to when he met Oyasa and realized the truth about our planet and why it's referred to as the Silent Planet by all of the other planets. We've been able to meet the multiple species, the Fifiltree, the Sorn, and the Harosa, and we've been able to explore their culture and learn from them. And ultimately, what we've learned from this journey on Malacandra is why we are called the Silent Planet. It's because we're subject to evil and doing wrong deeds, or as what we may refer to it as, we're all sinners. And because we are bound to being sinners, we will forever be at unrest with each other. So ultimately, what we've learned is that our planet sucks a lot. And all of the other planets are better than our planets. And that they are good. And we are bad. That's actually quite depressing now that I think about it. And, wow, that's very depressing. I kind of have the urge to go swimming in a pool full of stingrays now. So I think I'm going to go do that. We'll see you next time on Steve Irwin's television show.